Hi friends, it's Sarah. Who's up for a challenge? Now, this recipe is not difficult, it's just involved. So let's make bagels. So get you a bowl, a nice big bowl, and we've got 3.5 cups of all-purpose flour in it. And to this bowl, we'll add 1 tablespoon of sugar and then 1.5 teaspoons of salt. And then give it a little stir around. We've got our sourdough starter. It's very happy. A cup of it. And again, if you don't have quite a cup, it's okay. We'll just get her in there. Now, bagels are very similar to pretzels. You don't just shape them and bake them. They go through a water bath, but we'll talk about that later. All right. And then our water, it's 1 1/4 cup of water. And then we'll use the old spoon handle and stir it around. Now, you'll notice this batter makes a bit more than some of the other batters that we've made in the past. Well, that's because you're going to go through the efforts to make bagels. You're going to want to make bagels, you know? So just let it come together in a ball. That's starting to already. Woo. And we're gonna have to get our hands into it and knead it up for a little bit. Again, we need things when the water content is lower in our bread, just so that we can physically activate the gluten in the flour. All right, so it's pretty much come together. There's a few little dry pieces that are stuck at the bottom, but I'm pretty sure I can incorporate them without adding any more water. So I'll just squeeze you off the spoon and get in there. Just gonna knead it until it becomes a ball with without this kind of like crummy texture. Got crummy as in crumbs. And it's got some stick to it, I'm noticing. So I'm just gonna pick it up and fold it on itself, just a little bit. Now, I have never made this dough, disclaimer. So we're all gonna learn together. And then I will work through the hiccups for you so that you can have a successful bagel experience. Now, I have made bagels before. I've made pretzels many times. I've never made sourdough. So I don't imagine that it's all that much different. So it's ridiculously sticky. So I'm gonna add some more flour. Hang tight with me here. Again, depends on how we measure the flour, if we're heavy-handed with the flour or light-handed, or depending on how much water we have in our starter. You know, that's all very dependent. And so it's just a matter of finding the right texture of dough. And that comes with experience. It comes with practice. And it's all very fun process of learning. So this already feels better to me. I might have to add just another tablespoon. I probably added a couple of tablespoons of flour. Yeah. This is not, again, a high hydration dough, so we don't want it like crazy sticky. It needs to bounce back, and it needs to get to a point where it's not going to stick to our fingers all that much. And so kneading is just, you're kind of just folding it on itself and pushing forward. Now, you don't have to knead in a bowl like I do. I just like it because it keeps things contained. But what I'm doing is basically just pushing the dough forward, folding it, turning it a corner turn, and then doing the same thing. Pushing, folding, turning. But again, I like to keep my mess contained, so that's why I choose to knead in a bowl. All right, this should be more than enough flour. I think I added another, probably no more than a half a cup. But I'll show you what the texture looks like after I knead it for maybe another 5 minutes. All right, so it's been 5 minutes. Still a bit sticky. I'm gonna go with it, see how it goes. I might regret it later. We'll find out. So, a little sticky, not like crazy, but a little sticky, yeah. So I'm going to actually cut this dough in half because this recipe, the instructions say to let the dough sit out for 5 hours, but then every hour you come and like turn it and fold it, kind of similar to how we do our no knead bread. So I'm going to divide it in half, thusly, and stick one ball back in this bowl, and then the other in this little bowl. And so in this little bowl, I'm going to ignore this dough. We're just going to let it rest covered on the counter and forget about it until 5 hours have passed, and then we'll put it in the fridge. Now this dough, we'll come back to it and give it a little push around, fold around on the hour. So I'm doing this so we can see if there's a really great difference in between this babysitting versus leaving it alone. So we'll find out. All right, so it's been an hour, and our bagel dough is, it hasn't changed much. I just took it out of the bowl and I washed the bowl. So I forgot to tell you this. We needed a clean bowl and it's slightly greased. You see that olive oil in there. Any oil will work. But we'll basically just do that kind of stretch and fold thingy that we do with our sourdough bread. So just make a rectangle and kind of hold it. Stretch and fold. Doesn't have to be pretty, doesn't have to make sense. We're just activating the gluten. Maybe make a little package here and tuck and fold like we've done before. I'm going to leave it at that. Be happy. Put it in our bowl and roll it around in the oil. And then cover it up, leave it alone, and do this again in a half hour. I kind of have a feeling I put too much oil on. We'll find out. The other one is just living its best life over there in the bowl and doing great. So I'm not going to come back and show you how to do this over and over again, but you're going to want to do this 4 more times. So by the time the 5th hour has arrived, this dough and our other dough that we're leaving alone are going to go into the fridge overnight. And then in the morning, we'll start shaping our bagels. So, all right, catch you then.